Hi everyone, welcome back to Brain Dump. My name is Kai, and this is a show where I talk about pretty much whatever the fuck I want to talk about. And in this episode, I'm going to be doing my yearly audit. So last year when I did this, I did it in my journal, and I didn't do it on the podcast. And I'm kind of upset at myself that I didn't do it on the podcast, because that audit kind of taught me a lot about my year and what I wanted to do in the coming year, and what, reflecting on what the year 2023 had for me. And this year, reflecting on 2024, has been so different. And I just wish I could have listened back to that. But I have it in my journal, which counts for something. So I'm going to do this every year on the podcast because I think it's so cool. I got this from the Mel Robbins podcast, of course. Dude, she has the best tools. I'll tell you more about that at the end of this episode, because this book, wow. Okay, we'll get to that later. So in this audit, there's 7 questions that you have to ask yourself. And it's just to be more present, because we tend to focus on results. And when we do New Year's resolutions, we just focus on, I want to get abs. I want to lose weight. I want clear skin. But we don't really focus on the process. And I think that being present is focusing on the process and not just looking at the results in the future, because that's not living in the present moment. So let's go through these questions. I'm so excited. So question number 1, what are the highlights from the past year of your life? So I don't have the best memory at all, so I had to go through my camera roll to compile all these highlights. So January, I released Smear Campaign. This is a song that I wrote in a really hard time during my life, and it was a time where I felt very alone, and it made me feel less alone, which I appreciated. And I don't know, it's kind of one of my favorite things I've ever written. So yeah. February, I went to Athens, Georgia, and I had my very first college bar experience / downtown Athens experience. It was kind of crazy. This is like kind of crazy. I met this girl on Tinder, right? And I went to Athens to meet this girl. Like, I had never met her before. I booked an Airbnb for 3 days, and I went to Athens and spent 3 days with this girl. Honestly, great weekend. March, I went through my camera roll, and there wasn't really anything significant that happened in March other than St. Patrick's Day. Me and my mom and my sister went walking around Marietta Square and had lunch, and it was a really good day. Just, one of the best days of that month. April, we went to Jacksonville, and we stayed at the Van Zant house. So I don't know if you guys know what Leonard Skinner is. It's a band, obviously. So they made their house that the family in the band grew up in into like this tourist attraction. It's an Airbnb now, and nothing has been updated since the 1970s, and it smells so old in there, but like not in like ew. Well, kind of, yeah, ew, but more like I can't breathe, more like I'm suffocating and I need an inhaler. Like, I'm needing an inhaler just thinking about it right now, because you cannot breathe in that house. But it was a really cool experience, because we got to go around Jacksonville and see all the places that inspired the songs written by Leonard Skinner. It was cool. It was really cool. And we also went to Emily's calendar reveal party, because she was on a dance team in Jacksonville, where they had a calendar where all the dancers would be on a, month of the calendar. It was so cool. Oh, also in April, I went to the Live concert. Honestly, to this day, best concert I've ever been to. No doubt. May, Shaky Knees Festival. Great. That was my first music festival. I went by myself. It was incredible. I loved it. And then I finished my freshman year of college in May. That's crazy. June, I started my job. Love my job. This is just a side note. Started my obsession with Life is Strange once again. In July, we visited Emily in Jacksonville again. Great trip. August, I started reconnecting with nature and like going on nature walks. It makes me feel really good to be outside, and you forget how much being outside makes you feel amazing until you go outside and like feel the sunlight, and it's just incredible. Just taking walks on these little nature trails and journaling and just listening to the birds. It sounds cheesy as fuck, but it's so nice. I can't wait for the weather to get nicer again so I can start doing that because it's some of the most peaceful times of my days. I also started my sophomore year of college in August. So, September, I did a solo trip to Nashville to see Ash in concert. That was a great concert too. And I also met some really cool people in the month of September. I did. October, I got 2 tattoos. 2. And I also voted in my very first presidential election. Crazy. November, I turned 21. Wild. And December, my sister moved back to Georgia. Yay! Guys, I love my sister. Like, my sister is probably one of my favorite people on this planet. And I love her so much. And I'm so glad that she's back because we haven't been able to spend that much time together. And I do miss seeing her. So, yeah. Okay, next question. What were some of the hardest parts of this year? So, truthfully, my biology class was one of the hardest things about this year. There was points where I wanted to give up, and there were points where I didn't think I was going to pass the class because I was struggling so much. I was able to get help from my professor by asking for help because that's an okay thing to do. And I finished the class with an A, which is crazy, because it was so hard. It was so hard. And I'm proud of myself for that because that shit was real difficult. I suck at science. Truthfully, I have never been good at science. Dog fight. I don't think I ever talked about this on the podcast. In April of this year, I have 3 dogs, right? It's chaotic at all times. In April of this year, actually after we got back from that Jacksonville trip when we went to the Van Sant house, we came back and my mom was the only one home for this, which is fucking terrifying for her. My mom was feeding the boys dinner and we had it set up to where they were all eating next to each other, like bowl, 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 and like they would eat next to each other. And they had been doing that for months and there had been no problems. They had never showed any sign of food aggression at all, and they're not aggressive. They love each other. They play so well with each other. None of this we saw coming. So my mom was feeding them dinner, and Pedro sometimes likes to eat next to them, but also Pedro's bougie and he likes to eat on my mom's bed. So Pedro wanted to eat on my mom's bed this night, okay? So Pablo and Tater, such a weird dog names. Pablo and Tater were eating next to each other. After my mom had put their food down, she was going to her bedroom to give Pedro his food. And then she heard, them start to fight. And she goes out there. They are going at it. Like, Tater and Pablo are, fighting, like, over food. We don't know how it started. We think that Pablo, finished his food because he loves food. Like, he is driven by food. He's usually not aggressive, but he loves his food. So we think that Pablo was trying to get in Tater's food after he had finished, and Tater didn't like that. So, but we don't know. We really don't know. This fight went on for 12 minutes. Like, my mom looked at we have, little cameras in our house, and 12 minutes of non-stop fighting. And when I tell you fighting, I mean, fighting, blood everywhere. I walked into the house, and it looked like an episode of Dateline. Truthfully, that's how much blood was everywhere. It was on the curtains, the walls, the floor. It was crazy. It was crazy. And my mom was there for the entire time trying to split them up because this was kind of wild. I was out door dashing at the time and my mom called me and all I heard was my mom screaming at the top of her lungs. I did not know what was going on. I thought she was getting murdered. All I heard was there's blood, there's so much blood, and then she was screaming and I was like, what the fuck? So the DoorDash I was doing, I literally left it at the restaurant. I was like, sorry, I'm not doing this. I went home and that's when I saw the blood and I figured out it was the dogs and not her dying, and it was traumatic. It was for a while after that I got really anxious whenever my mom called me because I thought that I would just pick up the phone and it would be her screaming again. And also the smell of blood, didn't know that was a thing. Didn't know that you kind of can't get that smell out of your head for a while because the smell of blood, it's a smell and it's not pleasant, and it was just kind of stuck for a while and I did not appreciate that. And after that, Pablo and Tater had to get stitches, and so they had to be separated. We do not live in a big house. This is a 3-bedroom house. It's 1 story. There's nowhere for these dogs really to go, but they had to be separated while their stitches were healing. And also, we were scared to put them back together. We don't know what was going to happen. And it's like, there are 3 pit bulls. They are very territorial dogs, and they're big boys. Like, they're solid. We can't get them to stop. And so it was really only Tater and Pablo in this fight. Pedro got involved a little bit, but he was fine. He didn't have to go to the vet or anything. So we had to keep them separated for probably 2 months, I want to say. We slowly started like reintegrating them back into each other, but for those 2 months or month and a half, whatever it was so stressful having to rotate these dogs within the rooms, and they know that their brothers are on the other side of the wall, and they're so confused why they can't see their brothers. And then they, like, one of them would be in the kitchen and one of them would be in the backyard, and they would see their brother outside and, like, just want to go outside and see their brother. Like, it was so sad, but they couldn't. And now they get along more than ever. They love each other. I love the way that they play now because they're a lot less aggressive with it. Sometimes they, get into it and I'm like, hey, but we just were a lot more prepared, and they eat separately all the time now. Like, door closed, they're not eating by each other ever again. And that was a really, really hard part of my year this year. It caused a lot of tension in my house and just made being here not an enjoyable feeling. And I hate that because this is my house. This should be my safe place and where I can go to relax, but it wasn't. For a long time, I would avoid coming home because I didn't want to deal with the dogs, and I didn't want to deal with the stress of, oh no, gotta keep the door closed. Can't forget to close the door, because one time that did happen and they, they didn't fight, but the first time that Pablo and Tater were like reintroduced back to each other was an accident because someone left the door open, and they were just like kind of with each other, and we were like, this is crazy, but nothing's happening yet, and we were all just kind of standing there, and then they were just wagging their tails. They didn't do anything, but it was scary because we were kind of traumatized from that. They fought for 12 minutes straight, and there was blood everywhere. Oh my god, it was so gross, and I felt so bad for these dogs. They were in so much pain. I felt so bad. But yeah, that was a really hard part of my year. Another really hard part of my year has been finances. Like, money is so hard. Money is so hard. It sucks because, hey, I don't have any of it. Like, I don't have any money. A big thing with finances has been my car. Let me tell you, let me just wrap up all the things that have been going wrong with my car this year. New car battery, right? I had a busted hose in my, I don't even know what it was, but it was a busted hose that made oil leak. So I had to get a replacement hose for that. And then I had oil problems like all year. Don't know why. I had another hose that busted that made liquid leak onto my floorboard in my passenger side, to the point where I would be changing the towel on the floor every hour and it would be soaking wet. Like, that's how much water would come out of the dashboard. It would be like a sink. Like, when you turn on a sink, that's the water pressure that was coming out of my dashboard. Don't know where it was coming from, don't know why, but I had to get it fixed. It was a whole thing. I got a flat tire. I have had coolant problems the past few months. I am just so sick and tired of having car problems, and that has been a really, really big stressor to me this year. And lastly, self-esteem issues. I've had really big self-esteem issues this year, and I'm trying to not, obviously all of us are trying to not have self-esteem issues, but it's kind of been more prevalent recently. Just not liking the way that I look. And I hate that because I love myself, but there's also things that I don't like about myself. So that's hard, and that's something that I'm gonna work on. So, all right, next question. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm sitting on my feet. All right, next question. What did you learn about yourself this year? I feel like this year I learned a lot about myself, so this is a kind of exciting question to answer. Number one, I have needs in relationships that not everyone can fulfill, and that doesn't make me a problem. Like, it doesn't. And for a long time, I thought that made me a problem, that I have specific needs. And this year has kind of made me realize that everybody has needs, different ones. And not everyone's going to be able to fulfill those needs for you. And that's okay. Like, that is an okay thing to say. Like, this person cannot fulfill those needs for me, therefore we cannot be together. That's okay. Everyone has their own needs, and that's going to determine who you can vibe with and like spend time with and be around. Because if people can't fulfill your needs, or if people disrespect your needs, you don't have to be around them. Plain and simple. So another thing is, I can be very self-destructive and make choices to actively make myself miserable, and I must be ultra aware of my behavior in order to stop that, because I've emphasized that before, definitely. Another one is, I'm a human being and I'm going to make mistakes, and I've also learned that I want to learn from those mistakes. Yeah. I'm a people person. I feel better when I'm around people. That's a big thing that I've learned this year, because I've spent a lot of time alone, and then when I have the opportunity to spend time with other people, it's so great. And I remember how much fun I have with other people and how much other people can bring me joy. And I love it so much, just being around other people. It's amazing. I want to travel the country after I get my degree. That's something that I've decided this year for sure. After I get my bachelor's, I don't know when I'm going to get a new car because of this car issues that I'm having, because I may have to trade in my car soon. But the plan is, at some point, I don't know if it's going to be this time around when I trade in my car, but by the time I graduate, I want to have a van, and I want to travel the country. That may make me stupid for saying it, but I'm excited. I'm going to do it. Like, fucking YOLO. You only live once. I want to see everything there is to see in this country, and I'm so excited for that, you know? Ooh, I'm so excited. I finally figured out my skincare routine. That is a big thing that I've learned about myself this year, because I spent a lot of money and a lot of time trying different products, and nothing had worked. Everything made my skin burn. I have such sensitive skin, and I finally figured out things that help me, and things that make my skin feel good and make my skin look better. It's so nice. All right, next question. What are you going to stop doing in the coming year? I'm going to stop buying useless crap and just stop wasting my money in general, because I am an overconsumer and I don't need half of the things that I buy. I really don't. And I have to remind myself of that sometimes. Like, stop. Do you need this? Are you going to be using this long term? If the answer is no, put it back on the damn shelf. Like, you don't need it. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your money. Oh my God, don't waste your money. You don't have any to waste. You really don't. Stop drawing conclusions in my mind. That's another thing that I want to stop doing. I draw the craziest conclusions, dude. The things that I come up with in my mind are actually insane. So I want to stop doing that, because it often just makes me more hurt in the long run. I want to stop running back to people that don't want me. There's nothing really else to say about that. I want to stop limiting myself. I want to stop canceling plans just because I think I'm too anxious to go, because I know that I feel better when I'm around people. And that is me. Real life example, me making choices to actively make myself miserable by making myself alone, rather than when I have the opportunity to see people. So, and I want to stop eating so much candy. I eat so much chocolate. It's so bad. I know it's terrible, but I love chocolate. Like, I love Snickers. I love Reese's. Guilty pleasures right there, truthfully. And I need to stop eating so much chocolate. It's so bad for me, but it's so good. Okay. What are you going to start doing in the coming year? I want to start creating community everywhere I go. This means I want to learn people's names. I want to know how their day's going. I want to know about their kids and about what they're doing in their life, because I care, and I want people to know that I care, and I really want to have valuable conversations and make connections with people, anyone. I want to start reading more classic literature. I have a list of all the classic literature books that I want to read in 2025. There's a lot of them, but I'm going to get them all done because I really, That's just something that I really want to do. I want to start saying I'll go first, because I typically wait for other people to send the invite or reach out, or I don't know. I wait, and I never say, you know what, I'm going to take the initiative and go first. I never do that, and I want to do that. I want to start going for runs at least once a week. I'm really good about going to the gym, and I stay consistent with that, but I want to go for runs. That's something that I enjoy doing, but I don't do it as often as I should. I want to start saving at least $20 per paycheck. That may seem like nothing, but it's honestly all I can put away for savings. It's important to me to start saving, but I suck at saving, so I'm putting that on my audit as something that I want to do in this next year of 2025. I want to start performing at open mic nights. This is like kind of crazy, and I'm kind of surprised that I put this on this list, because these are truthfully things that I'm going to start doing. Like, I have the full intention to do these things, and I think that I want to get out of my comfort zone with my singing and playing guitar, and I want to perform at an open mic night. I think that would just be so cool, and even if it's just one, I just want to try it out, you know? This final one, I want to listen to an album in depth every week of 2025. So I often just listen to like one song on an album, and I don't really pay attention to the album as a whole. And there are some albums that are just, you have to listen to it all together, and it's cohesive, and it's art, and music is art. And I think that some albums you need to listen to in its full capacity, and it makes it so different, and it makes you listen to it so differently. And so that's what I'm going to do in 2025. I'm going to probably share them on the podcast, but I don't do these podcasts weekly, so I'm just going to journal about it mainly. But yeah, I really want to like open my horizons with music in 2025, so I think that's what I'm going to start doing. All right, next question. What are you going to continue doing in the next year? All right, I want to continue strength training 3 times a week. This is something that's really important to me, because I value my strength and my health and my ability to train. So I really want to continue doing that, because it makes me feel good, and it makes my body feel good, which is always nice. I want to continue to let them. Let them. If something is bothering you about another person, let them. And I'm going to continue to let them, because I can't control everything. The minute I let go of that control, it releases their power over me, because I gave them that power by letting their behavior impact me when it shouldn't, because I have to let them. So I want to continue to journal and color and read every day, because those are important things that I do every day, because it makes me feel calm, and not a lot of things can do that. So something important that I want to continue doing. I want to continue doing things that scare me. I think that's something that helps us grow, and I always want to grow. I want to continue doing this podcast. I want to continue taking care of myself. I want to continue to write, and I want to continue going to school. The final question is, what can you do today to take the first step now that you have a sense of direction? And for me, the first step that I'm going to take is using the let me part of the let them theory. So let them is about releasing what you cannot control, right? Let me is about taking responsibility for your next steps and how you can make your life better. And so I'm going to let me, and I'm going to take responsibility, and I'm going to take action to make a better life for myself. Yeah. So that's the audit. I also want to share some other things. Top books of the year. So number 1, I'm going to have top 3 books of the year. Number 1 is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. Number 2 is The Glass Girl by Kathleen Glasgow. And number 3 is What My Bones Know by Stephanie Fu. If you haven't read those books, I would recommend each and every one of them. They're all different, but they're all incredible. Alright, these are my favorite albums of the year. Love Seat by Still Woozy, The Tortured Poets Department by Taylor Swift, Older by Lizzie McAlpine, Chromacopia by Tyler the Creator, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess by Chappell Roan, Guts by Olivia Rodrigo, Wilson by Ash, and Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter. Okay, alright, we're not done. Favorite TV shows of 2024. Young Sheldon, Dexter, Dance Moms, Oh my gosh, Dance Moms is my guilty pleasure right now. Big Mouth, Heartstopper, Shameless, and BoJack Horseman. Great shows. So yeah, this year has been really good, honestly, and I'm excited to see what 2025 has to offer. Hopefully it'll be good. Hope so. So let's get on to books of the week. Number 1, Blue Light Hours by Bruna Dantes Lobato. It's about this international student that travels to America to go to college. Obviously, I literally just said international student. And her mother is sick, and her mother is getting sicker while she's in America, but she can't afford to go back. And it's basically just them calling each other and keeping each other updated on their lives. And it's just like kind of sad because the mom feels like she's missing out on her daughter's life because she's not in America with her. And then at the end they reunite, and it's so sweet. I love it. It was a really good book. Okay, next book of the week, which also this is probably one of my favorite books ever, The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. Wow, holy shit. I annotated the shit out of this book, so I'm just gonna flip to a page, and I know if I flip to a random page and find something that I highlighted, I'm gonna be like, wow, that's so true. So I'm gonna share it with you. 1 second. Okay, this is one good quote. Your stress isn't changing, so you need to change your approach to dealing with it. Like, that eats. Okay, this is another one. It's not about the hand you've been dealt, it's how you play it. And I love that because I feel like we're all dealt a hand of cards in life, and it's really all about how you play your cards. It's not about the kind of cards that you have. All right, don't worry, this is the final quote I'm going to share. Adult friendship isn't something that happens, it's something that you create. And that one, yeah, because obviously I'm an adult and I suck at making friends. No, I don't. I'm great at making friends. Yeah, this book, just let them. Just let them. Let them. Like, let them. Just saying, hey, let them. Alright, so this is the last episode of 2024, by the way. Kind of crazy. Here are the songs of the week. Linger by the Cranberries, Lost by Frank Ocean, Loving is Easy by Rex Orange County, Figure It Out by Blue to Tiger, Mariposa by Peachtree Rascals, Coffee by Jack Stauber, and Balcony by Dayglow. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you being here. Remember that you're loved, you're valued, and you're appreciated in this world, and people are going to have their opinions about you, about your actions, your behavior, the things that happen in your life. They're going to have an opinion no matter what. So let them. Okay. I love you. Goodbye.